So as I promised in my last video, I was going to have a actual working version of Alpha Scalper. And here we have it. And, let me just start off by saying I don't like scalping, especially Forex. Even day trading, I'm not a big fan of. Not that I didn't do it. I just prefer swing trading now that the account size is decent enough that I can do that. But let's take a look at some of the rules first. The rules are always the same as they are in every single strategy or system that Karl puts out. Is don't use it on a flat market. That's common sense right there. Common sense. We don't want to trade when the market's doing nothing. And London session and US session. Now on the chart that I have, the MetaTrader chart, we're going to have to look for 8 o'clock in the morning. New York time is 3 in the afternoon chart time. And 3 a.m. in the morning, which will be London, is going to be 10 a.m., just so you know. Global trend, remember trend is your friend. Now, I talked about this in my last video, that when you see screen captures, what are they using for trend determination? Or are they just showing every single setup? So that's one thing you got to be really aware of when you're looking at any sort of trading system is what are they using to define any aspect of the rules. In this case, it's the trend. Obviously, watch the news. The Informer is a little bit different. We actually get when different levels of profit taking are generated, which is kind of different than it usually has. And this was up on the left-hand side of the chart. Your stop loss, you can just use exactly what's on the chart itself. Entering trades, buy when a blue arrow appears, which you can see right here. It's way down here. The word buy does not appear on the chart. Sell when a yellow arrow appears. And again, the sell does not appear on the chart. Exiting trades, you can use one of the take profit targets, and you'll see that. And I actually went in and just changed this to advanced for the alert settings. Option 2, another exit, is to exit near strong support or resistance levels. We're talking 1 and 5 minute charts. They're not going to be that strong. You could use higher levels, higher support and resistance levels. But again, support and resistance, if I turn off all the bars on my chart and I draw a bunch of random lines and I turn those candles or the bars back on, price is going to bounce seemingly to the pip off of each of those. So how do you know if your levels are better than random? So keep that in mind as well. Never aim to exit at the next entry signal. Always go for one of the 3 targets. Okay, that's just good. That's just so you're not. It does say exit at the next entry signal only if there were no take profit levels generated. That would mean to me that maybe the market's not moving and you're stuck in a trade that's probably going no place. Alpha Scalper is equipped with special, and this is brand new. We didn't have this before. Depending on the market conditions, it will generate 0 to 3 take profit levels. And you just saw. I'll show you the chart. 1 take profit level, trades weak, trades medium. 3 levels, the trades strong trades expected, and you can choose which ones to go for. All right, and that's going to give you a little bit of discretion in how you approach it. I do suggest you back test, and if you are going for the higher profit levels, like the 3rd one, I would be reducing risk as the trade's going in my favor. Time frames and pairs. There's an Alpha Assistant that you can get. Enter trades with 1 click. Make more profit from every trade. Auto exit with laser accuracy. I don't look at these. I don't review those. If that's something you want to have a little bit more hands-off, you're more than welcome to. Here's all the settings that you can adjust. All the inputs are ready to use. You don't have to change anything. Generally, even if I use a trading indicator, I don't really default from the default settings. The indicator, they are what they are. It's how you use them. And I leave it to medium, and all my other ones that you've seen, all the videos I've ever put together, I don't change that. Position sizing, period setting. I'm going to ignore that stuff. Just move stuff around. This is where you can just set your defaults. Anyways, enough of this. Let's just look at let's take a look at the chart here. And there we have it. And we actually had an alert right here. And that says 11:15. All right. 11:15 is, has it updated? Let me just take a look here. No, I guess that's interesting, because on my chart it says 18:15 and on here it says 11:15. So that is a trade right here, and that's actually interesting that it showed up while we're doing this. 13347 was the entry, so when this appeared. So let me just put a line there, and as we're looking at things, we can take a look through this. Where are we here? Lines. Yeah, I don't use MetaTrader very often in my own trading. 13347. So we're in here somewhere, right there. Okay, so clearly it looks like it was on the open of this candlestick right here, and you are in profit already. Okay, and it has the your stop loss set. You can see there is no take profits here right now. Okay, so that's going to tell you something right there. If we go back to the manual, it talks about that, right? The trade is weak, the trade is medium, the trade is strong. So let's just wait and see what happens here. You'd be in this trade. Of course, I didn't take it, making that very clear. So I'm just going to leave that up and take profit. What does this say? See, it says current time is 18:19, but you can see that on my thing here, it's 11:15. Don't know why it does that. Take profit 3 generated. I think that's in the last trade maybe, unless it's here somewhere that I can't see. I don't know. We'll get rid of this for now. We have it here, and let's see what happens. So, let's just take a look. This was a short trade. Now, this time was 12:20, which would be 12:20 in the afternoon on this time. Now we have to go back 7 hours, all right, in order to figure what that time is. And this would be outside of the time that you'd be trading. So this would not be a trade that you would have taken anyhow, simply because of the time here. So I'm doing this on my laptop, so it's the screen's a little bit smaller than I like to see. And I had to drink some coffee there. So we see this trade starting to break down a little bit here. If you're in this trade, you're up a little bit. You're up 33.47 to 33.21. It's already 20 pips right there. And we're seeing it live, so that's kind of cool. And the stop loss is way up here. Now, I want to talk about risk to reward ratio. A lot of people get wrapped up that you need 3-to-1 reward to risk. That's not true. And quite frankly, in the markets of today, if you're holding on for that level of reward to risk, there's a big chance that you're seeing a lot of trades go against you. You could do fine with 1-to-1 and 1-to-1.5, just so you know. So the common folklore is, well, let's make sure we're getting 3-to-1. Well, no, you don't. You don't need that. So this would have been a buy at 14.05. Okay, and that would have been 2:05 the other time of the chart. And that would have put us into the London trading session, which is right there. So you would have gotten in this trade, and it would have, messed around with you a little bit, and eventually it would have gone in your favor to the first take profit. And these, I had made a comment in my other video. I didn't know if these levels at the 1.13632 would plot, and it does. So this one did make it to its first take profit. Let's say, you know what? A trade's a trade. And that would have given you, it's not a big trade at all. It's 9 pips. But again, this is the Euro US dollar 5-minute chart. So it's not something that you're expecting to get some big moves out of. We'll come back to the other trade. Let's just take a look what else we see here. Again, remember, we got to watch the time that we're looking at. This is another small trade setup right here. You can see that. This one here just missed its take profit. And this is where, and we don't know what time this is. This is 6:10 in the morning. So remember, go back 7 hours. So this would not have been a time that I would have been trading this if I used it. I'm in the Eastern time zone. So that would not have been a time, because that would have been 10 o'clock or 10 or 11 o'clock New York time. And that's not a session that you're going to be trading. And as I said in the manual, make sure you're trading when the markets are moving. All right, so let's look around 3 in the afternoon, see what we have. That'd be about 1,500 hours right to here. Okay, so this would have been a time frame we would have traded. Okay, because a 3 in the afternoon on this chart that you're looking at would have been 8 o'clock in the morning on U.S. time, New York time. And this trade, you get in here and you go, you didn't hit the third take profit target. But again, if you're this close, this is where you're going to have to do your own testing. What do? Do you take off when it's close to it? Do you put a stop here? Especially if it comes up to a double top formation here, would you get out if the trade's not moving forward? That would be a prudent thing to do, obviously. And this trade would have gone for about 20 odd pips. And it took, you get 1750. Now, again, remember what time we're looking at in the chart. 50. So you've been sitting around this trade for a little bit. It's just the way it is. Let's check back in here. All right, let's take a look at it. We'll come back to the euro US dollar to see what happened. Let me just put a line so we don't forget that we were here. So let's take a look at another currency pair that it says we should use. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look at Euro Japanese yen. Why not? Just give me 1 second to get a chart up here. All right, we loaded this in here. Let me just scroll over. Okay, so that's still there from our last chart, so that's good. Let's see what we got. Well, you'd be in a short trade on the euro US dollar right here, and it's coming down to its first take profit target, which would be about 12 pips. This trade here, let's take a look. So let's look at our time. Let's look at 3 in the afternoon. Let's start there. 3 in the afternoon is 1500, so it's right here. So this would be a trade that you could take. This trade, if we're going to look at the London session, let's go to 10 a.m. and see what we got. It's in here right about there. So you do get a long trade set up here. Comes around, stops you out for, what is this? For 19 pips. I just want to let you know that when you look at big thrusting candles here, now granted it is the beginning of the London session, so we often get that. Just be careful, because when you get big thrusting candlesticks, a lot of times you get mean reversion right after that. So it doesn't look like we had a good run in this particular chart at all. You would have taken a small loss here. It doesn't print out this long. It doesn't print out any sort of take profits. So you would get out of this trade. You'd be out over here for about 8 pips. So just today, it didn't look like it was doing very good. What do we got over here? It's a long trade that in here, it goes to its first take profit for 5 pips. Again, you're scalping 5-minute charts. So let's look at something better. Let's look at the pound yen. Let me just find it here. There we go. That was pretty quick. Sorry for the scrolling here. So let's see what we have here. We just missed the stop loss on this trade on the pound yen. If you're going short, and how are you determining trend? Make sure you're looking at how you're determining trend. When you see this, this is the problem. These things are going to plot regardless. You don't want to just blindly take them. Especially if you might want to make a rule that if you get a short and then immediately a long, consider the markets becoming into a range. And you can simply see it here. You see the high and the low in through here. It's a range. You can see it. Let's move over here. This is, well, let's find our time. So let's find 3 in the afternoon for London. Where is it? Okay, so actually, we wouldn't have been worried about too much about this trade here, because 3 in the afternoon here would have been 8 a.m. and we don't get till 3. Well, I guess we would kind of worry about this one. Now 3 is 1500, right? So it just, as soon as the market opens, it starts. So, whether that's a trade that you would have gotten into or not, it depends on how you approach this. 3 in the afternoon, where are we here? This is for US. So 3 o'clock's here. You get a big run up. You get your entry here. Take profit comes pretty quick for 20 pips. And nothing else was printing, right? Oh, maybe this did. This printed over here. And then they got stopped out here. This is again, remember I talked about, if you look at here, we have a range. So this is why I always say, no matter what, strategies put out, you have to have an idea of price action. And you can see that we have a sort of a resistance level here. Price breaks out. We get breakout pullbacks all the time in breakouts, right? So that's something you want to be aware of as well. Let's see what else we got here. What time is this? This trade, where's the sell? It's right here. This one would go down to for 53 pips. So let's see. This is at this time here. This trade sets up. Let's go back to our Euro USD chart. See what's going on over there. Now again, like I said, and I'll repeat it. I don't worry too much about. Well, we got a take profit set up down here, and that would be if it gets to it's 9 pips. You're scalping, right? So don't expect too much. So you know what? Let's just keep this at 16 minutes here. I gave you a rough idea of what it looks like on your chart. My time's a little bit messed up on my MetaTrader, and I could go through every chart. It doesn't really matter. Overall, what are we looking at? We're looking at your stops are plotted, your take profits, your entries. There's some strong rules that you want to be aware of, which is quite interesting. You want to make sure we have those rules in place. You're going to have to decide how you determine a trend, and there's many ways you can do it. Because it does say, let's look at a global trend. When we look at the screen captures on the sales page, we don't know what they're using for a trend. Okay, we see the trades are there. We see that some have worked out. A lot of them have worked out. But what was used to determine the trend? We don't know, so it's very difficult to look at those and go, yes, it's a great strategy. Let's use it. We certainly want to buy it ourselves. We want to get it on our charts. We want to see if we can understand it, if we can have how we're going to use the rules. And the most important one, especially when you're looking at scalping, is what are you using for trend? There's lots of ways you can do it. One of the ways that I talk about in one of my other videos is simply use a higher time frame trend. So for example, if we're on the 5-minute chart here, what is a 30-minute chart doing? Okay, what's a 30-minute chart? And well, I can see right here that it's in a range, right? It's in a range. So maybe this wouldn't be something I look at. Let's look at, whoops, wrong button there. Let's look at the Euro Yen because we were just there. What are we looking for trend? Again, it's a range, right? It's going down, like there's more, it's making lower lows and it's making lower highs, but overall we're in a range. There's no big strong trend. It's whipping back and forth. That's tough conditions in any single market. Let's look at the pound yen. Again, what are we looking at? Again, it's just a big, well, you can see when we do that, it's just the range. We're looking at ranges. Let me look at one more. So I took a few minutes there just to pop around various charts. I got to be honest with you. You can look for yourself on your trading charts, but so many currency pairs are in pretty ugly trading conditions in general, especially if you look at a higher time frame. Price is just whipping back and forth. Now, I will say this. If you decide that you're going to use something at the 30-minute time frame for trend direction, and it's something that I think is a pretty solid thing to do, I would suggest this. If we do see ranges like this, all right, mark off the highs and the lows. Let me just do that for you. Mark off the high of the range, and let's mark off the low of the range. It's pretty much here. And then we go back to our trading chart. And what we don't want to do, because we're trading in a range, if there is a buy leading into this area here, you may not want to take it. However, if a sell is setting up in these areas here, these are the kind of trades you'd want to take. All right, so just keep that in mind. Over here, do we have room to run? We have a little bit of room to run here to take profit target, which is at the bottom of this range. Anything in the middle, you might want to just not bother with. You want to see if a trade sets up in the lower end of the zone. And when you're doing that, you may want to then decide to have the 1-minute chart up as well off to the side. For example, you see over here, You see how this trade gets in, and profit 1, profit 2, and almost to profit 3, right? Close to it, but you're looking at 20 pips here. So it'll give you a chance to at least take advantage when a market's in a range. That's just a smarter way of doing it instead of buying into up into this area here. And it could break out. We don't know that. But then again, when breakouts happen, we get pullbacks, right? So anyways, I'm going to cut this video here. I'll go over this product again. For now, just pick it up yourself and just do what I just did. Just go through some things, decide how you want to determine trend, and then just start doing some testing for yourself, right? There's a link below. There's a link above. And leave me a message if you do pick it up. Thanks.